Okay, the rabbit hole deepens. We're going to get into time signatures. Very, very critical factor in reading music. Kind of like all the things we've been learning. Now, when we see these two numbers, it's pronounced 4/4. I know when I was learning music, I wanted to say a fraction, 4/4 or something like that. But it's pronounced 4/4. And it's one of the most common time signatures we're going to see in music. So what they specifically do, basically, is the time signature tells us the meter and the measure of time of the piece of music. Well, what does that mean? Well, basically, it's telling us how long we're going to hold down the notes. It's not necessarily telling us how fast we play. It tells us which notes, types, and how long we're supposed to hold them. Basically, how much value does each note get? Does each pitch get? Each sound? How long do we hold it down? Or how quickly should we let go? Now, the top number in a time signature tells us how many beats per measure. Basically, beats, we think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, in each measure, when this time signature is called out, there's 4. You count to 4. And you hear that a lot in just movies, anything like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of things are in 4/4. So we count out one bar first, and then there's 4 beats in every bar. Now, in case you're wondering what bar is, let me just pull up my slides. In between this line here, the beginning of a piece, and that line is a bar. Between this line here and this line here, that's a bar. This line here and this line here, that's a bar. So looking at this real piece of music here, we see the time signature. It's 3/4. So this 3 means there's 3 beats in each one of these measures. So in this one, we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So 3 beats in every measure. Now, the bottom note, this guy's key. It's also key. It tells us what type of note value gets a whole beat. What gets a whole 1, 2, 3, 4? What gets each one of those counts? What kind of note gets a whole 1? Now, this may sound confusing, but in the next unit, we're going to get into note values. So you're going to understand this a whole lot more of when I say type of note gets a beat. So what you need to know for this is the top number tells us how many beats per measure. The bottom tells us what type of note value gets the beat. So back to our musical example, we know that this is in 3/4. 3 beats per measure, and this number represents which one of these notes gets a whole beat, and we're going to get into that. Don't worry. So here's some confusion. Actually, not really. But these are all just examples of different time signatures you may see. Now over here on the left, this 9/8, 5/4, 12/8, less common. We see it, but it's a lot less common. Most of the time, we're going to see 2/4, 6/8, 3/4, 4/4, and then cut time. Now I have these over here because these are in music a lot. We see this C. Basically, it's called common time, and it equals 4/4. So it's simple. It just depends on the artist, or the publisher. They'll either put a C for common time 4/4, or they'll just write out 4/4. Cut time is basically they just cut it in half. It looks kind of like a cent sign, and that is 2/2 time. And basically, a trick to figure out 2/2 times, you can count it kind of like 4/4. Sounds weird, but I just want you to know about this in case you come across this. Like, what is that? That means cut time, and this is common time.